What's up, YouTube? This is Sci19 coming with you with a final deck profile for my 4 of clan selection. So if you guys been keeping up with this, you know me and my friends, my good friends Rook and Wolf, here on the channel are having ourselves a little mini tournament and things like that. We each took 4 decks out of the 12 of clan selection volume 1, and we're each going to do a profile on each 4 of the decks, and then we're going to have when we're all done, we're going to have a massive mini tournament here to see which one comes out on top. So for my 4, and this is my last one of my 4, I've had Dark Irregulars Gastille, Grand Blue Beatrice, and Gear Chronicle Time Leaper Dragon. So here is my Tachikaze Light Battle Dragon Gigannoblazer. So we're gonna get right into the profile and waste no time. So as I said, our boss unit here is 4 copies of Gigannoblazer. Its skill says, let's see. During your turn, if 3 or more gauges were placed, your front row gains plus 5k. Then act, counterblast 1, soul blast 1, draw 2 cards and call 2 cards from your hand to rearguard circle and put 1 gauge on the top of your deck down for each one of them. So a very simple skill, but allowing you to do this over and over again means that having him on the Vanguard Circle for a longevity time means you're going to surplus a plus 5 to the front row, and there will not be any reason that you cannot gauge anything for any reasons or whatsoever. So knowing this, having him as the Vanguard, you'll know that you'll at least have 2 gauges each turn. Our other boss unit, if you guys have been if you guys have been to my channel before, this used to be the boss unit of the Tachikaze deck, but now it's taking a backseat to Gigannoblazer because Gigannoblazer skills are usually just Vanguard skills. So we do want to have a backup grade 3 that can work on Vanguard or Rearguard Circle. So taking the back seat to the new boss is a good favorite, Tyrant Deathrex. So Tyrant Deathrex says Vanguard or Rearguard. When this unit attacks, you can Soul Blast 1, retire one of your rearguards, and then he gets plus 10k for each one of that rearguard's gauge. So for example, if you retire a rearguard that has 3 gauge, Tyrant Deathrex is going to gain plus 30. So this is a very good beat stick. This is a good way for you to get over numbers and things like that, and retire some of your units that have the when retired effect to do other things and activate other skills. So having him as a grade 3 backup is very good. So if you have to ride him, he does have the excel, so you won't be losing anything on that. But having a Vanguard that can just be powered is always a good thing. Next, we're going to go into the grade 2s. We play 4 copies of the new grade 2 that came in this deck. This is External Dragon Spiral Tort. We play 4 copies. Spiral Tort says Vanguard or Rearguard. When this unit attacks, you can counterblast 1 and retire one of your rearguards, and then draw a card. And then if that rearguard had any equip gauges on it, you can choose one of its equip gauges and call it to rearguard circle. And if you do, add 1 card from the top of your deck face down as an equip gauge. So this is another good way to make gauges and things like that. But the more benefit to this card is that you're allowing yourself to superior call cards without having to waste cards from your hand. And this also allows multi-attacking because you can attack with one rearguard who has an equip gauge on them, then attack with Spiral Tort, retire that rearguard, superior call another one, and get another attack out. So this card helps you with your multi-attacking. But the one thing that you have to remember that comes into play with the Tachikaze build is resource management. You can deck yourself out very quickly from all the drawing and gauging that you're doing. So keep that in mind. Our next grade 2 is a very fan favorite and very needed reprint. Where what I'm talking about is Clear Out Dragon Sweeper Kronto. So Creeper Kronto says once per turn, when this unit attacks, you can put the top card of your deck down as an equip gauge, and then constant rearguard. This unit gets plus 5k for each one of its equip gauges. This unit gets plus 5k for each equip gauge, and this unit has 3 or more equip gauges. This unit cannot be retired by your opponent's abilities. So, and mind you, that plus 5 is constant on yours and your opponent's turn. So this is going to become a very big boy, which is going to be hard for your opponent to get rid of because you cannot get rid of it through card abilities, and because its power level is so high, you just can't run over it with certain cards. So having him on the board is a very good investment, I would say, and he's just one of your big beat sticks. So our last grade 2 that we play 4 copies of Regiment Dragon Regiodon. So Regiodon has the ability, when it attacks on Vanguard or Rearguard, you can put 1 card from the top of your deck down as an equip gauge. You can even put it on himself if he's on Rearguard Circle. Then, if this unit is retired by one of your card abilities, you can choose one of its equip gauges and call it as a Rearguard. And then equip gauge that card that was called. Now, the good thing that combos in this with Spiral Tort is that if this is the card that Spiral Tort retires, instead of getting 1 call, you get 2 calls. So let's say, for example, this card had 2 equip gauges. You can call both of them and then equip gauge both of them. Mind you, like I said, resource management is key in this deck. Sometimes you do not want to equip gauge because you don't know what's on the top of your deck. You could be losing triggers or you could be decking yourself out. So please pay attention to what you're doing and how you're doing it. Those are all of the grade 2s. Now we're going to go into the grade 1s. We play 2 copies of Prison Bird. I would like to bump this up to 3 or even 4 copies, but at the moment this is all that I have. So Prison Bird is your grade 3 searcher. We already know what he does. So his original skill is constant on Vanguard or Rearguard. If you gauge the card this turn, he gets +5. So that's all we need to know about him. Then we play 4 copies of the new promo that came out in Clan Selection. This is Savage Shooter. So Savage Shooter has 2 abilities. First ability, on Vanguard Circle, 1 place, Soul Blast 1. Draw a card and then call any cards from your hand. It can even be a grade 3 to Rearguard Circle, engage that unit. So you can get Sweeper, you can even get Sweeper out on your grade 1 turn and engage it and engage it again due to its own skill and attacks, and then maybe engage it a 3rd time if you're able to do that, immediately getting that +15 on top of Sweeper, making him a 24k beater from the first grade 1 turn. Then she has a Rearguard skill that's an act. Rearguard, rest this unit. Choose 1 card from your drop zone and put it as a gauge for one of your Rearguards. So she is the first of her kind, which allows you to gauge from a different zone. Top Chikaze players, I know you have been asking for this for a while now. But unfortunately, it's one of the last cards for V Premium unless they want to print more cards like this in the future for set 3, which I'm hoping that they do, which takes over presence of the deck gauging, because deck gauging is what it is. It's taking away your triggers and throwing out your deck too fast. So having the ability to gauge from a different zone is tremendously helpful in this deck. Her alone puts in so much work just for the fact that she's not taking cards away from your deck, taking triggers away from your deck primarily. So she's very, very welcomed. So next we play 3 copies of Sharpthorn Dragon Paleoken Spine. So this 1 card is our counter charger, our soul charger, and our gauge rearranger. So a simple skill. When retired from Rearguard, you can activate the ability due to how many gauges were gauged this turn, not just how many gauges that are on this card. So 1 or more, you can soul charge. 2 or more, you can counter charge. 3 or more, you can move all gauges from one of your units and place it to another. Move all of the cards equipped to one of your other units to another Rearguard circle. So you can move, for example, if you had a Rearguard that had 3 gauges but is not doing anything, you can move it to another one that you want to have retired. That way you have to pick and choose of what you're going to superior call. This card helps you do so much. And simple fact of the matter is you have more than enough cards that can actually retire stuff now. You can have 1 unit retire this just to get these abilities off, and then have that second unit ready to retire the unit that gained all the gauges. So I believe this card still has a very good place in the deck. I run it at 3. I would not run it any lower, but some people I know have been telling me to run it at 2, but I think I like it at 3. And finally, we play 4 copies of Radiodon's Grade 1 variant, which is Blue Sprint, Darting Dragon Blueprint. This card has the exact same abilities as Regiodon, just in a grade 1 package. So I'm not going to go over it too much, but I would drop this down to 1. I'm sorry, not 1. I would drop it down to 3 to add 1 more Prison Bird to the deck. Because you really don't want to have this in the front row unless you have to. He's just a gauge target, in my opinion, in this type of deck build. Yeah, you can have him in the front row. You can have him swing for a blank just to gain a gauge, but I wouldn't really do that. If I don't want to waste attacks that are, how can I say this? I don't want to waste attacks that are not going to go through. I want every swing that I do to mean something and to at least push the agenda of the deck forward a little bit more. So just swinging for an AK blank just to gain a gauge off the top of your deck, which could have been a trigger, which could have made him 18k. I'd rather have him in the back row just sitting back there gaining gauges, so when I retire him, I can get a superior call too. That's my opinion. That's why I would drop him down to 3. If you guys think differently, please let me know. That's it for the grade 1s. So now we're going to the triggers. We play 4 copies of Archbird, our draw PG. We play 4 copies of the critical trigger, Savage Aggressor. 4 copies of the Hill Trigger, Savage Shaman, and 4 of the front trigger, Savage Rowdy. Is it Rowdy? Rowdy? Basically, I'm playing Rainbow. I'm playing the Savage package with Archbird. This is just the total Savage Rainbow package. You want to have free range of having everything. You don't want to draw too much with draw triggers. Criticals really don't help you that much because you're superior calling a lot and nothing's going to restand. So most times not having a critical does work, but you don't want to have too many fronts because a lot of your units, again, are not going to stay there. So getting the best of all the worlds kind of helps you out in this deck. And we're playing the starter. Basic skills, so you know what the starters do. Things like that. So we're going to shuffle up here, and then we're going to do one little test hand and show you what the deck can do. This deck has a very high ceiling to where the more cards that are more cards that come out for Tachikaze can make the deck a lot better. In my opinion, what I think Bushiroad should do is go the Savage Shooter route and make more cards that can gauge from different zones. For example, you can have Tachikaze be a deck that can gauge from the damage zone and place a card face up and deal yourself a damage. It can be the Angel Feather for Dragon Empire, or it could be the Grand Blue for Dragon Empire from following Shooter's ability to gauge from the drop zone, making your drop zone another hand for you as well. Things like that. So I believe that Tachikaze has a very good path that it can go. It can go anywhere, and it should go everywhere. So I think Bushiroad has a good standing with this archetype and seeing what they could do. And I'm looking forward to see what they could do. That's grade 3, grade 1, grade 2, perfect, and okay. So we're going to throw back the grade 0 perfect guard. We could keep the hand. The hand looks pretty good. We could just keep it, but I want to be a little greedy. So, and then final, another grade 3. So we're going to shuffle up here. Okay. And then we're going to go into our play. So we draw for turn. We ride the Prison Bird. We draw a card. We check the top 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We get nothing as a whiff. So shuffle back up. Okay. Turn over. We take a damage. Our turn's back here. We ride into Regiodon. Then we're going to call Pulse Scale Spine. Right? Then Regiodon attacks, activating Regiodon's skill. We're going to gauge the top card onto Spine for later. Then dry trigger check front. That would have been great if we had more units, but that's what happens. Take a damage. Take a damage. All right, we're going to stand. We're going to draw. Then we're going to ride into Gigannoblazer. We're going to go Excel 2. Actually, we're gonna go. Actually, I think this deck would be better for Excel 1. We're gonna just use that because I don't have the Excels out right now. Sorry, guys. The reason why I'm saying Excel 1 because we do draw a lot in this deck, engage a lot. We don't want to accelerate that too fast, and I think the power lines will be a lot better with Excel 1. So we're gonna go Excel 1. You could go Excel 2 if you need that little bit more draw power just to gain your pieces. But like I said, the Vanguard draws for you. So then we're going to activate the Vanguard skill. We're going to Counterblast 1. We're going to Soul Blast 1. Then we're going to draw 2 cards. And then we're going to call 2 cards and then we're going to gauge them. So we're going to call Sweeper to Rearguard Circle. And then we're going to call Regiodon to Rearguard Circle. Then we're going to gauge, and then we're going to gauge again, right? Move this back a bit. And that's 2 gauges down so far. Then we're going to go into Shooter, activate Shooter skill, rest, choose a card from our drop zone, gauge it. That's now 3 gauges turn. So the front row got plus 5k. Okay, so then we're going to go Sweeper skill, gauge it again. So that's 5, 10, 15, 20 from the Vanguard. That's 29 to the Vanguard. Then we're going to go attack with the Vanguard. Twin drive. First check, critical trigger, critical power. Second check, boom. And then we go attack, skill, gauge, and now we're ready for our second turnaround. So then our Vanguard, then our opponent's rearguard attacks, we guard, then we perfect guard, and let's say we take the last damage as a draw PG. So we draw a new card, and then we stand. Stand everything up. Oops, a little shaky. Hit the camera. Sorry, guys. We draw. Oh, that's a perfect draw. We ride back into another Gigannoblazer. We're going to go another Excel 1. Then we're going to go Gigannoblazer skill again. Counterblast 1. Soul Blast 1. Draw 2 cards. Call 2 cards from my hand. Calling 1, calling 2, and then we gauge those 2. So as we see, we have a lot of gauges on board, and our deck is looking kind of thin. So you want to be careful about how you go about gauging now. And then we're going to activate Shooter skill again to now gauge from the drop zone onto here. And then because I gauged 1, 2, 3, 5k to the front row, there's nothing more that I need to do now. Because now I have 2 units that can eat. I have 2 units that are going to be eaten and have effects that are going to go off. So now what I'm going to do is check what my gauges are. That's another shooter, which is good. And another unit that's going to be eaten. So we're going to check its gauges. That's perfect. So we're going to get 2 superior calls out of this. So what we do now is because the front row has plus 5k, we are just going to swing with the Vanguard first, just to gain a little bit more power on our threshold lines. So twin drive, first check, critical trigger. We're going to give all these effects to Tyrant Deathrex. Second check. Okay. Now we go in for the big plays. We go attack, skill, counterblast 1, retire, Actually, is it retire this? Yeah, retire. Let's see, retire. Draw one card. Choose its unit and superior call. Engage it. Boom. Now we go activating skill of the unit that was retired. Because I gauge more than 3 times this turn, I get to now counter charge. I get to soul charge, and then I would move gauges from another unit onto another unit, which I am going to do. Actually, that's a really smart idea to do. I'll move its gauge over here, right? So boom. Then what I want to do is I want to attack with sweeper skill, gauge again, big power line. Then I want to attack here, gauge 14 or 19. Then I want to attack here with a boosted unit. Soul Blast that one card I just soul charged. Boom. Kill. Eat. Regiodon. Regiodon goes on standby. Now we're going to count. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tyrant Judge just gain plus 50. Then activate Regiodon skill. Allowing me to superior call something here. So what do I want? I'm going to superior call a sweeper. And then gauge sweeper. Right? So Tyrant Jefford just gained 50. So 20, 12, 8, 20, 70k column. And then I'm attacking with sweeper. Sweeper gauges itself again. Mind you, it still has a plus 5. So this was actually a 75k column. So that's 5, 10, 15, 25, 34. This is the way that you can do very good multi-attacking, very good sweeper strikes and things like that. Mind you, while keeping a decent size hand, minding how your deck is thinning, and also putting the pressure on your opponent little by little. This is an aggro deck, but it's not a fast aggro deck. You want to pace these turns out. You only want to gauge as much as you're able to. And mind what you're doing. Because you can, as you see, run out of soul very fast. And run out of your deck very fast. Because of all the drawing and things you're doing. You could imagine how many, it would have been 2 more cards out of your deck if we went Excel 2. So I think Excel 1 is much better for this deck. You do maintain a good hand size. But that's all that I have to show you today when it comes to Tachikaze for the new set. I think this is a very good stable deck. I wouldn't say it's one of the best out of the set due to the fact that you're gauging so much, which, again, the deck wants to do. But I think Bushiroad should have made more cards that allowed you to gauge out of the drop zone. I think the grade 2 Spiral Torch should have had the ability to counterblast 1. Eat a card, superior card one of the units, and then take a card from your drop zone and put it down as a gauge, not from your deck. That's what I think it should have been. It would have been a million times better if it had that type of skill, and a million times better with your resource management. But if you guys liked what you saw, if you have any questions, any ideas to make this deck better than what I showed you today, please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. Tell me if you guys like the video. Tell me if you guys still want to see more of these clan selection videos and things like that. We will be bringing you the other 8 decks from Clan Selection Volume 1 very soon. Alongside it, like I said earlier in the video, we will be doing some battles. We'll be doing a lot of battles for all the decks in Clan Selection Volume 1, so you can see, like I said, which one reigns supreme, of how we build them and how we think these decks are made to be played and things like that, keeping it very budget friendly and keeping your pockets very light. Well, very heavy, keeping the money inside of them. But regardless of what I'm saying. But if you, like I said, if you like what you saw, please leave a comment down below. Like, subscribe, share this video, get it out there. I appreciate you guys. I think you guys are awesome. All those who've watched our content up until now, I appreciate all you guys have done the comments and things like that. But come on, guys, let your friends know the game has not died. V Premium is still living very strong, especially with these cards and these new boss units, keeping the pace very stable and very simple. I think this is how V Premium should have been in the beginning, instead of all the massive power creep. But I'm glad to see that Bushiroad and the new directors are doing a better job of managing that, and these cards are the proof. So I've been rambling long enough. This video has gone long enough. As always, see you later.